What's good, everybody? It's your brother Mad Black, the most dangerous and the most toxic black man on the internet. And I am black up in your face again with some more pro black commentary. So, I was just dropping my little girl off at school, and as I'm driving home, I noticed that there's lots of, those political yard signs, and I've seen a couple of them where people are clearly supporting Donald Trump. And I noticed some other little things in their yard that symbolizes what their mindset is as to why they're voting for Trump. You'll see like a Confederate flag maybe somewhere, or back the blue, or you'll see those Punisher logos on their car. So they have a very specific reason why they support Donald Trump. And, when I saw that, I wanted to do this video, inspired me to do this video, because I want to make a clear distinction, okay? And I want to make sure that, because I don't think a lot of black content creators in the new black media are being as clear as they should be on this. But, I don't really consider myself as much a part of that, but I know a lot of people do, so I want to make sure there's a clear distinction here. And people need to understand that just because we are very hard or don't support Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party, that does not mean we think that you should vote for Donald Trump, okay? Because a lot of people, there's a lot of confusion out there because there's so many opposing voices now to the Democratic Party. Now, we've been very critical of not only Kamala Harris, but the Democratic Party for a long time, even going back to the Obama years. It was funny because when Barack Obama came out recently and basically wagged his finger and chastised black men for not supporting Kamala, everyone seems to have caught up with where we have been since like 2012. You know what I mean? Like people like myself have been critical of the Obama administration and him personally since then. But now it seems like everyone's catching up and realizing what type of a person he is and why he's someone that we should not follow or listen to. Like everyone's starting to get it now as to why we had a problem with Obama, right? But once again, I still need to make that clear distinction because like I've noticed that a lot of people have been playing these videos or these commentaries by people or mostly black men, where black men have been kind of going in on Obama. And I've noticed that a lot of those black males, a lot of them are, let's just be honest, a lot of them are coons. A lot of them are conservatives who have been supporting the Republican Party for a long time. These aren't black men who are just all of a sudden deciding to switch over from Democrat to Republican. These guys have been Republican operatives for a long time, because I know I've seen a lot of them on social media. I've known of them for years now. They've been buck dancing and samboing for a long time. And for the truth of the matter is, a lot of these guys are just the Republican version of the Democratic shills that we deal with. So all the Democratic shills you can think of have their Republican counterparts on the other side of the political aisle. So we want to be careful with who we're showcasing as to, I understand everyone's not supporting Kamala and not supporting Obama right now, but be careful of who you prop up. All right. Because, I want people to understand that we do not, or at least I can say I do not, I can only really speak for myself, but I don't support Donald Trump, not in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Okay. When I see so many of these Republican operatives who have been operating on social media, refuting what Barack Obama says, or pushing back against the Democratic Party, like, okay, I might agree with them on certain things, but these guys do not have the solution either. I want people to start thinking a little bit further than what is provided to them by this system. Okay, because so many of these conservatives and Republicans, they keep using the terminology that uh, the Democrats want to keep black people on the Democratic plantation. And I accept that, that's fine. But what they will never acknowledge and what they won't do is they won't say, well, I've really just moved from one plantation to another. That's all black conservatism and black Republicans are. They're people who they've made a good start. It's like almost like they decide, okay, yeah, I don't like this plantation, I'm going to run away. And then they literally run to the plantation down the road and say, hey, I want to be a slave here rather than be a slave at the other plantation. That's basically what it is. It's not, you haven't freed yourself, you haven't figured things out, you only taken the very first steps. And that's for your average black Republican or black conservative. They've taken the first steps, I guess, but they're still contained within the slave mind system. They haven't fully broken out of it yet. And I don't want to be someone that's compared with them or someone that is put in the same category as them because I don't support the Democrats. Because I sure as hell don't support Donald Trump either. In fact, the more I think about it, Donald Trump is probably one of the best things to happen to this particular political system because really before he showed up, a lot of people were losing faith in the political system. They were starting to realize that these politicians on both sides were both basically the same. So, these Democrats and Republicans that we've gotten over the last few decades, starting with like the Clinton era, there's no real difference between them. They have all the same policies when it comes to, you know, dealing with the world and how they really deal with corporations. The only difference maybe is, or the only difference they pretend to have is some of these social issues. But really, there's no difference between them. Okay, they talk and act and vote and build the same types of bills and policies the same, right? So a lot of people are starting to figure that out, that, these politicians are really no difference. That's why there's so much camaraderie and friendship between the Clintons, the Bush family, and the Obamas. If you notice that a lot of them, they like to hang out together and, put up this big front of friendship when they're in front of the camera and even behind the camera. There's a continuity within those administrations and those families that they try to maintain. And Donald Trump kind of upset that. So a lot of people think that, Donald Trump is maybe a savior in that regard. And he appears to be someone that thinks differently or does things differently. But the truth of the matter is he's no different. He's another oligarch, but maybe he has some different ideas about how to do certain things. He might be, in my opinion, he's probably more in line with the older Republican mindset of people like maybe like Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan. So he might be a little bit out of date with how the globalists want to control things within the country. And, he's basically, so what you have is basically like a war between ideologies of different eras, right? So really, that's why he's always preaching about making America great again. He's always talking about going back to a certain way America was at a different time. So that's really the only difference between those administrations that I named, the Clintons, Bushes, and Obamas, and what we have with Trump. But at the end of the day, he is not a solution. There's only a solution or he's only helping in degrees. If there is any help to be had, he's definitely not helping black people as a collective. If black people are able to glean something off of his administration, it will be almost by accident, but it's definitely not going to be something that's going to be helpful to you. All right. And, I understand that he talks about, like, or, people are talking about like he's going to bring back stop and frisk and whatnot. A lot of that stuff is stuff that doesn't scare me as much. I understand that both Donald Trump and his ilk want to bring back almost a tyrannical like system. In my opinion, maybe that needs to come back because maybe then black people will get it that they need to push back against this system. I've always said that Donald Trump was a perfect representation of the American system. He's America without the makeup and without the gloss on it. He's out there, out front, pushing American imperialism and narcissism and arrogance and stupidity. It's right there on Front Street with Donald Trump. A lot of these other candidates, both on the Democratic side and the Republican side, they're made up to look like they're nice and that they care about people and care about the world or whatever. They really don't, but they're better actors. Donald Trump doesn't act. He is a great representation of what America truly is. So in that regard, I guess you could say he's the perfect candidate and the perfect person to be president. But he's definitely not someone that I would imagine black people should be supporting, black men especially, okay? Because he is not someone that's going to look out for us when something bad happens. If Donald Trump gets in there, I guarantee you there's going to be black men killed by the police because that's just the way this country is. And you're not going to see any help from the Trump administration when another black person gets murdered by some cop. You're definitely not going to see that. So, you folks can let me know how you feel about this in the comments section. I'd love to hear your opinions, but once again, I'm just making a distinction. There's no support from me going towards the Trump administration. I don't support that trash at all. Okay? Don't get my criticisms of the Democrats confused with support of Trump, because I'm definitely not going that way. I don't support either one because I don't think either one has our best interest at heart. And at the end of the day, both are going to do damage to us one way or the other. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. This is Mad Black, and I will be back with my foot on the devil's back.